Agile product development. If someone comes to you and says, I want to build a scooter, how would that be done with Agile philosophies? The way that Agile product development works is you start with a cycle, working your way towards the minimum marketable product by building multiple minimum viable products. First, you have to determine what that long-term end result looks like in the end, vaguely. The thing that you're trying to launch into the market in the long term is called the minimum marketable product, MMP. When you define it, it may be full of assumptions. That's okay. You will validate your assumptions as you go. You'll adjust your MMP vision as you go. Then you work your way backwards and you say, what is the first thing that we should be doing that helps us validate the direction and is the most valuable thing that we could deliver first? The first release and the incremental releases after that are called minimum viable product, MVP. Here are the steps. Define your long-term vision. Define the first release. Deliver the first release quickly. Gather feedback. Review the vision and adjust plans. Start building the next MVP release and repeat the cycle. Build as many MVPs as you need to before you launch at market. Minimum viable products. At every point, you should be determining the bare minimum to deliver, the MVP that you should be working toward. MVP is just a concept, but it's an important concept to know whether you're doing UX work or discovery work or development work. The MVP is something that is very simple, something that is valuable, usable, and testable. Build cycle. You build and validate the MVP quickly. You deliver it. You adjust your plans, and you go back to the drawing board, back to step number 1, and say, how does that change my long-term vision? Let's do another one. And then you build another MVP, and then another MVP, and then another MVP, and you just keep going through that until maybe one day you release the thing to market. Maybe you never release it to market. The process that you're going to learn, whether it be through research or design or strategy or chores or vacationing or accounting work, is how to scope a plan in the beginning, determine the highest priority for that, deliver that thing quickly, analyze it, and adjust. You iterate, you release it, you evaluate, you plan that thing for the next release based on your priorities at the time, and then you keep going. Meanwhile, the thing that you're trying to build may change, and you have to go back into what you were working toward to then change it. Agile requirements. When you're gathering Agile requirements, you don't do it all at once. If you're building an MVP, you have to talk about what it must have. So, sorry, Cat. Can't take a cat chariot around in the first MVP because that's not the most important priority. I apologize, Cat. I know that that's disappointing for you, and that's really hard to hear. But what the scooter must have is that it must drive in the city. Can't go off-road. It must be able to drive a reasonable speed. It must have one-person seating because it needs to meet the basic needs of getting around. And then once we have delivered that thing, we've delivered the MVP through one-to-many iterations. Getting to MMP. We evaluate that thing as we build and after we deliver. We review the results and analyze previous priorities. We plan the next release based on the new priorities we decide. Then we start the process over again. Over time, what you're doing is you're building and delivering incremental value to users. You're not delivering all the value only at the end, like in Waterfall. So by the time you hit market, you've got a really strongly validated and really usable, really refined experience. Building the scooter with MVPs. Here's how you would build that motor scooter with a cat chariot through Agile. Each time you do it, you build something usable and valuable and minimal. So to meet the basic needs, I'll build a skateboard. It'll take me 3 months out of the 18 months, but I'll get something quickly out the door that helps me validate the direction. And let's say we get great feedback about the problems that the skateboard solves. Okay then, let's keep going in the same direction. What is the next basic need that we can meet that adds to the previous value? The next most important problem to solve? Well, we can add more stability. We can build a scooter with a handle, not motorized. It just goes fast enough to get around, but it offers a little bit more stability and it meets a little bit more needs. And then you work on the fast things. And only if you have validated the direction of those MVPs, you know you're headed in the right direction with the MMP, and you start building the MMP. Notice how it takes 18 months still. But the things that we build in the first 2 MVPs are something completely different than what the end result should be, because they focus on basic problems that we're trying to solve. What happens if your requirements change? What happens if you build that skateboard and realize that no one wants the cat chariot scooter? The team pivots, they respond to change. If we don't need a cat chariot scooter with a GPS, then we figure out our new vision, then we pivot. That's cool. Change your direction, change your vision, change your scope, respond to the change. Life in Agile is managing the chaos of changing needs by continuously validating risk. Head to the next lesson to learn how Agile teams mature and how they treat each other.